أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So it's page 338. You can start from in just the same way, okay, and read till the fourth remark, which is on 340.
In just the same way, each of the immortal members and soul faculties in man have expanded to a degree 100 times greater than that of animals. Consider faculties and members like man's eyes, which can discern all the degrees of beauty, and his sense of taste, which can distinguish all the varieties of particular tastes of foods, and his mind, which can penetrate to all the subtlest points of reality, and his heart, which yearns for every sort of perfection. And then consider the extremely simple members of the animals, which have developed only 1 or 2 degrees. There's just this difference, that an animal is a member particular to some function and special to a particular species develops more. But this development is particular. The reason for a man's wealth in regard to his faculties is this. By reason of the mind and thought, man's senses and feelings have greatly developed and expanded, and numerous emotions have come into being because of the multiplicity of his needs. And his senses have become extremely diverse, and because of the comprehensiveness of his nature, desires have appeared turned towards numerous aims. And because he has numerous duties due to his nature, his member and faculties have expanded greatly. And since he has been created with a nature capable of performing every sort of worship, he has been given abilities which embrace the seeds of all perfections. Thus, this great wealth in faculties and abundant capital was certainly not given for procuring this temporarily worldly life. Rather, a man's fundamental duty is to perform his duties, which look to innumerable aims and proclaim his impotence, poverty, and faults in the form of worship, and observing the glorifications of beings with a universal eye, to bear witness to them, and seeing the instances of assistance of the assistance of the most merciful one, to offer thanks, and gazing on the miracles of dominical power and beings, to contemplate on them as objects from which lessons may be drawn. O man who worships this world, is lover of worldly life, and is heedless of the meaning of the world's most excellent pattern of patterns. The old said saw the reality of worldly life in a vision. It transformed him into the new word said. You too listen to it in the form
Said.
Said.
Yes, name of the guy. Yeah.
You too listen to it in the form of a comparison. I saw that I was a traveler and was going on a long journey. That is to say, I was being sent. The one who was my lord gradually gave me some of the money from the 60 gold pieces he had allotted me. I spent them and came to a hostel where there were amusements of all kinds. And one night in that hostel, I spent 10 pieces of gold on gambling, amusements, and the enjoyment of fame. In the morning, I had no money left. Moreover, I had done no trade nor bought any goods for the place I was going. All that remained to me from the money were sins and pains, and from the amusement, wounds and sorrow. While in that sorry state, a man suddenly appeared. He said to me, You have wasted all your capital and deserve punishment. You are going to your destination bankrupt and with your hands empty. But if you have any sense, the door to repentance is open. When you receive the 15 pieces of gold that remain to you, keep half of them in reserve. That is, obtain the things necessary for you in the place where you are going.
Okay, I guess that's enough. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Because it will be too long otherwise. So let's share. Faraz, would you like to continue from
the reading?
Yes, if you don't mind. You can. Do you know what? You can start from I saw that I was a traveler class.
And where are we going?
Till the 4th month. Thank you for Yusuf. That was a longer reading. Thank you.
So I saw. You said I saw. Okay. So I saw that I was a traveler and was going on a long journey. That is to say, I was being sent. The one who was my lord gradually gave me some of the money from the 60 gold pieces he had allotted me. I spent them and came to a hostel where there were amusements of all kinds. In one night in that hostel, I spent 10 pieces of gold on gambling and amusements and the enjoyment of fame. In the morning, I had no money left. Moreover, I had done no trade nor bought any goods for the place I was going. All that remained to me from the money were sins and pains, and from the amusements, wounds and sorrow. While in that sorry state, a man suddenly appeared. He said to me, "You have wasted all your capital and deserve punishment. You are going to your destination bankrupt and with your hands empty. But if you have any sense, the door of repentance is open. When you receive the 15 pieces of gold that remain to you, keep half of them in reserve. That is, obtain the things necessary for you in the place where you are going." I looked. My soul did not agree to this. So he said, "A third, then." My soul did not obey him. Then he said, "A quarter." My soul could not give up the habits to which it was addicted. So the man angrily turned his back on me and left. Suddenly the scene changed. I was in a train in a tunnel which was traveling fast as though downwards vertically. I took fright, but what could I do? There was no escape anywhere. Strangely attractive flowers and enticing fruits appeared on both sides of the train. And I, like the foolish and inexperienced, looked at them and, stretching out my hand, tried to pick them. But they were covered in thorns and tore at my hands when I touched them, making them bleed. With the movement of the train, my hands were lacerated at being parted from them. They cost me much. Suddenly, a porter on the train said, "Give me $5 and $5, and I shall give you as much of the flowers and fruits as you want. You are caused the loss of $100 with your hands being torn rather than $5. Also, there is a penalty. You cannot pick them without permission." In distress, I put my head out of the window and looked ahead to see when the tunnel would end. I saw that in place of the tunnel's entrance were numerous holes. People were being thrown into them from the long train. I saw a hole opposite me. On either side of it was a gravestone. I looked in amazement. I saw that written on one of the gravestones was the name Said. In my bewilderment and anxiety, I exclaimed, "Alas!" Then suddenly I heard the voice of the man who had given me advice at the door of the hostel. He asked, "Have you come to your senses?" I replied, "Yes, but it is too late now." So he said, "Repent and place your trust in God." I replied that I would. Then I awoke and saw myself as the new Said. The old Said had disappeared. So that was the vision. My God caused good to come of it. I shall interpret one or two parts of it, then you can interpret the rest for yourself. The journey was the journey which passes from the world of spirits through the mother's womb, youth, old age, the grave, the intermediate realm, the resurrection, and the bridge of Sirat towards eternity. The 60 pieces of gold were the 60 years of life. I reckoned I saw the vision when I was 45 years old. I had nothing to guarantee it, But a sincere student of the all-wise Quran advised me to spend half of the 15 that remained to me on the hereafter. The hostel for me was Istanbul. The train was time, and each year a carriage. As for the tunnel, it was the life of this world. The thorny flowers and fruits were illicit pleasures and forbidden amusements, which cause pain while indulging in them on thinking of their passing. And separation lacerates the heart, making it bleed. They also cause a punishment to be inflicted. The porter on the train told me to give him $5 so that he would give me as many as I wanted. The meaning of this is as follows. The pleasures and enjoyment man receives through licit striving within the sphere of what is lawful are sufficient for him. No need remains to enter the unlawful. You may interpret the rest for yourself.
Jazakallah khair. It was not as good as Yusuf's reading, but still.
I tried.
Yeah. Thank you. So we can start from the vision. I want to read from the part in just the same way each of the military members and subtle faculties in men, because I wanted to have the context, remember the context, because it's been a while, right, since we read this part. This is just to reminder, this is the interpretation of the verse, the whole 23rd verse. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Indeed, we have created man on the most excellent of patterns, then sent him down to the lowest of the low, except those who believe and do good deeds. This is the second chapter of this interpretation. So just keep in mind that this is the context. And the last part we read is all about the men faculties and how they expanded as compared to other creatures, how privileged men in terms of its relationship with the reality, and so on. And then comes to this vision of old Said, transforming him into a new Said. All man who worships the world is a lover of worldly life and is heedless of the meaning of the most excellent of patterns. Old Said saw the reality of worldly life in a vision. It transformed him into new Said. You too listen to it in the form of a comparison. So there's one thing which I find very interesting. Even before studying how he was transformed, I guess the mere fact that he was transformed, I find it very interesting. Like someone throughout some life experiences is being transformed. So I'm checking myself, like, am I such a person? Am I seeking for being transformed? Sorry. Am I letting the messages that I receive to transform me? Or when we read Quran, for instance, when we try to interpret or contemplate on the message of the Quran, do I let it to transform me? So that's the question I usually ask myself. Unfortunately, the answer is not that easy to say yes. So reading such thing, like somebody telling me that one day I was transformed, of course, one day I guess it's just a metaphorical saying. It doesn't happen in just one day, but still, one person telling me that I was transformed from old, let's say, Faraz to new Faraz, it's something that I can hold on. That means like it's possible, like it's, I can also seek for it.
But transformation, is it something that you really intend to have it? Or if you intend it, that actually nullifies the process itself?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, Nursi was transformed from old side to new side because he was like in search of something.
Yes.
He wasn't seeking for transformation. He was troubled with something else. And through the experience, that was his conclusion that he came to, that like whatever he's seeking is not in the worldly life.
So the way I took transformation, actually, just like as you described, maybe I'm taking it wrong, but the way I took it is that I am troubled.
Okay, I think that part is important. Like, if someone is not troubled with like his own like experiences, life, or whatever, like the thing that he goes through, if one is not troubled with the experiences that he has, then why to look for something else?
But you know, sometimes I don't have it clear in my head, so it's not very clear. But I think if I think of myself and find myself suddenly happy or excited about anything, in this moment of finding myself with something valuable, if I look from this position and assess myself, I can say that I have found something that I didn't have. That is why there is this happiness. Sometimes I feel the troubles become very clear, and then one finds, but it also happens that sometimes I find myself really excited about something or really find it valuable, and because in light of this experience of finding this valuable, I come to more clearly see my deprivations that were not very clear to me until I experienced the, Similarly, when I experience something very valuable, in it is included the sense, the feeling that now this is something precious, it should not part from me. And yet I have no control over this. And that generates again a kind of, so it feels like this transformation is really sort of, it's hard to say where one like has to be in order to get somewhere else, but I experience the life as continuously in sort of that my transformation is really, if I value something a lot, I think that's what I'm trying to say is, like if I value something a lot, it is equal to saying I'm transformed. Why? Because I value something a lot. I couldn't value this a lot if it wasn't something that I didn't have a deprivation of. I mean, I wasn't aware of it maybe, but I couldn't value this. For example, you don't feel you're thirsty, right? You don't feel your thirst at all. And somebody gives you water. For a minute, imagine that. For some reason, you weren't aware you're thirsty. But if somebody gave you water and you really enjoyed it, you said, I mean, it's theoretically, it's practically not possible, so you have to imagine that, that you're unconscious of a need. But when you get the water, you're like, wow. And you're like, why am I so happy? Why am I so satisfied? And sometimes in light of this, I can be made aware that you see what was lacking. You couldn't tell that it was water that you didn't have. But now that you drank it, you are so enjoying it so much and you feel so great about it, can you see now that you are transformed, that you got something you couldn't get before? So I don't know if I'm making clear, but that reflecting on my current excitement or joy or satisfaction of something can itself be a door for me to understand my transformation. I may not be aware that it has happened, because a lot of times we are not as keenly aware of our spiritual needs as we are of our bodily needs of the water, right? When I'm thirsty, I know I'm thirsty. But when I'm hungry for eternal life, I don't really notice. I am thinking I'm going to just enjoy the life of this world one more day. So sometimes in kind of non-bodily matters, of the matter of the heart or the spirit, if I can really come to appreciate something, that sometimes can be the sign that there's a transformation happened here. And I can look to become more aware of my past deprivations, the original state from which I have been now transformed. I don't know if that makes sense.
Are you referring to like a transformation in the state, how you feel, or like transformation in your understanding of your experience?
I think both, but I don't think one has to come before the other in the way we live. I think
So
right.
Spontaneously, like go along with
They can. Sometimes it happens that we are conscious of something, and then we, ultimately we have to understand it to make it real for us. If I can't understand what was it that I was deprived of that I am now so happy, okay, then this feeling is not yet understandable to me. It is kind of like, I don't know why I'm so happy about it. But I have to, in the end, think about it. But it may happen that if I can... She's saying.
It's her turn to speak.
Yeah. They got the point right. I cannot speak anymore. So, only to say that, sometimes the transformation, because we are not aware, maybe Lucy already brings us and says, I'm going to tell you how great it, felt, or what is great in this. And in light of this, you can think and say, what was it and what changed? If I can become aware of my excitement now, or if I feel that I should be excited, for example, I don't feel it, but maybe mentally I want to be excited about this, then I can say, I can look at my life as changing from a state where I don't have something to a state of where I will have something valuable, because that is the reason for excitement. And so to actually feel excited or to actually feel relief, for example, is already transformed. For example, if somebody feels relieved, right? This feeling of relief can only be possible in light of a transformation. You couldn't feel relieved if this is not a change of state from something that is stressful to this state of relief. You see what I mean? So it couldn't be without a transformation. Similarly, disappointment and anger and sadness cannot be except that it is a transformation. It was transformation from something that could have been or was nice, and in light of this, I'm disappointed. So the feeling of disappointment and happiness, either way, can only make sense as in the framework of transformation. If you were not unhappy, you can't be happy. If you're not unhappy now, it cannot be except that you imagine a possibility of happiness or a state that you might.
Would it be any fair to say that the transformations you are referring to, are the ones you go through regardless you ask for them or not?
I think they will fall in both. So there's those kinds, but I think here,
yes, here is more about the asking.
the asking,
right?
yeah. So consciously, but that general reality, the way reality works, can help me also then, I think, see that when I say that this is a transformation, it really was always a transformation. Now I'm becoming conscious of it. Now I'm becoming conscious of this transformation. So
how do you make the connection with belief in that process? I think I kind of missed that part, or maybe I'm not clear with it. Like you go through one state to another. It's something that's your experience, right? And like trying to understand what you're saying in the context, what you're still talking about here, like that he was like seeing the world in a like certain way, then he goes through some experience and seeing a different way and comes to some sort of conclusion. So I guess there is belief in that equation, like can you explain it?
I don't want to make it more complicated than it is. I think because we said because the question we're thinking was transformation, and whether this transformation is something we experience or and
do we even think that we need such a transformation, or we say most of the time we are heedless. We don't try to, let's say, cure ourselves.
So just in that, I will say that
you finish on them.
As long as I am looking, as long as I have something that I hope for, some value that I want, it means I want transformation. As long as I'm looking for something valuable, it means I want transformation. Or I experience something as valuable, it means there's transformation.
There was someone among the online participants. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I had a question in respect to what Brother Faraz, the example he gave of, the glass of water satisfying a need that I wasn't aware of. And the question that arose in my mind is then, what then are the things in my life that remind me of my thirst? And I guess anything in one's life can be a means for this. Transformation, I guess by virtue of the word, seems like a dramatic event, usually one that is very obvious or flamboyant in some respect. But I guess, and I think this is in respect to what Brother Birkan was saying about how I need to make myself open to any sort of potential transformation by making myself more aware of what are active messages or what are active, glasses of water that are constantly being offered to me, whether I am rejecting them or am letting myself take them and drink them. And the question of really just what initiate or trigger or tilt my gaze towards any form of transformation or even realization of what I am actually in need of.
Would you like to comment on that? Or?
No.
Okay.
So let me try to share what I understood from this text. So this person who is narrating what happened to him says he was a traveler and 60 gold pieces were allowed to him and then he wasted them. 45 of them because he was 45. From his life history, we know that he didn't waste his 45 years on gambling, right? But it looked to him as if it was like spending the 45 years on gambling. what, he's a scholar, right? This is a person he spent his entire life on scholarship, and yet he's at age 45. He looks back and thinks to himself, it's as if it's all wasted. What would make him think that his whole life up until that period is wasted? It's not that what he did until then was totally useless, right? But yet that he has the sinking feeling that he wasted 45 gold pieces. I think gold is the key word here. He had 45 gold pieces that he thinks are wasted. Why? Because according to him, he didn't get what is a proper outcome, a proper recompense, or he didn't make a trade that is worthy of 45 gold pieces. He feels like he could have done a lot more with 45 gold pieces. And so that is the turning point for him, that something's got to change. And this is, I think, related with the human being, the discussion prior to this, that the human being is endowed with so many capacities, and unless these capacities are used to the extent of their worth, then human being is bound to feel that he or she has wasted it all, right? And so what happens in the story is slowly realizing a way, some kind of a transformation, which convinces him that whatever he's been doing so far has not been working. A totally new way is needed so that he can start getting what's worth of gold pieces, what he has. Right? And so I think if that is to happen, the human being has to understand who he is, who she is, and understand why he or she has been given so many capabilities. Only through understanding the wisdom behind being endowed with all these qualities can a person then make a proper trade. And I think that after that, toward the end, when he becomes the new Saeed, then he understands now how to trade using those gold pieces. And this could be, you can ask, what is that? And it could be what we always say, the usul, the methodology of understanding and presenting the Quran, and how the human capabilities fit into that.
Yusuf wants to say something.
I think the overall theme here is there's no escaping of the sinking feeling in us that every moment we're losing. We may be working on the most important thing for us, or maybe understanding the Quran or whatever, you name it. But unless we understand the true value of what we are endowed with and how it should be used, why it was given to us in the first place, and what could be done, there's no escaping from this. And at the end, toward the end, it says the porter, is it the porter, asked for $5 kurush, whatever, right? I think we could talk maybe a little bit on that. Why it's $5, not why that's in terms of dollars, but not whole. And what is meant by illicit pleasures.
So, related to what you said, so he's talking about wasting his time, and as you were saying, he's not a guy, of pleasure. He was not a guy of a pleasure, so he didn't.
Amusement, yeah.
Yes, amusement. But still, he's complaining that what he did so far was not something he was satisfied.
Yeah.
So because when I read such things, like the one thing comes to my mind is, yes, you shouldn't waste your time with X, Y, like you shouldn't spend your time working, or you shouldn't spend time playing. Like, are you going to play soccer? Or no, you should go and pray instead, or read. He was reading all his life.
Right.
I guess there was a fundamental difference if you compare his life story before and after. So I guess the reason that he's talking about gambling in here, gambling is you don't really know the outcome. You try your best, but you're trying to gain something by chance. So the output is not that clear. And Eski Said was intending to make changes in the society through politics. That's old Said. So it was a sort of gambling for him. And although he was a scholar, he was still trying to make changes, following a path which is not really fitting what he was supposed to do, as we understand from his latter sayings. The same way it's really gaining some sort of an outcome through politics is very not sure, doubtful. So I guess this is why he is considering it as gambling.
So this part, like I was thinking when we were talking about the transformation, actually that what I had in mind. Like when we talk about such stuff, we usually think about the others. Like even in his story, we're referring to his attempts to change the society. But it should be something about himself. Otherwise, I wouldn't call it as a transformation. I would just call it as another, let's say, the path to take. He tried this, now he's trying something else.
Isn't that where the transformation is? Like, until that point, everything was external for him. But once, this understanding sinks in, and everything is about himself and his own understanding of the life.
So yeah, that's when if we take it that way, yeah, I can make sense. But otherwise, if I don't know what you were referring exactly, just for clarification, I'm asking. Like if we take it as, if we try to change the society or people in that way, it is wrong. But if you try to change them by teaching them X or Y, whatever, it doesn't matter. It is right, and we need such a transformation. And still, we're not talking we do not accept that I need a transformation, not the society. I don't care about the society. Not that I don't care, but the transformation I'm looking for is about me. Like I need something to change.
Can we say that my personal image within myself in the, let's say, old side perspective urges me to act in a certain way? Then if I am transformed, then when I'm going to work outwards, it's going to be also different.
Yeah.
But the problem was maybe his understanding of making some changes in terms of politics was because he was having some issues within himself, central. So once this was fixed, because as an outside observer, we are seeing what he did from outside. We really don't know what was going on inside. So
we can compare based on his behavior, outward behavior in both cases, what might have changed inside. So I guess this is what we can do. So in our case, in our personal life, then maybe we should judge it as such. It's not that I was failing by helping people in that way, so I should make some changes so that I'm going to help people in that other way. But I was failing in helping this way because there was something wrong within me, so I need to fix myself. But this doesn't mean that I'm not going to help others anyway.
Sure, yes.
But if I'm going to change it, then because apparently it's this guy was not able to stop himself by writing. And even we see that accepting that there was a change of style in his writings, but still we see that the fundamental understanding was the same, because his previous writings are also part of his writings still. But I guess, yes, I agree that his internal change really triggered the way that we observe in his outward action.
I think I see two aspects here after what's been said, at least. And one, I ask myself the question of, well, do I see the years of my life as pieces of gold, or as something that has inherent extreme value? And this doesn't have to be necessarily years, but just any sort of measure of time. And two, do I see its continuation or any sort of event in my life as being subject to something that is dependent on chance, that can be gambled, right? Because to gamble, as everyone has said, means to take a chance at something that is that's determined by luck or by chance, basically, that doesn't have any sort of recognized or conscious will behind it, that doesn't have any sort of wisdom behind it. And so, the question I was asking myself is, in what ways do I see the various experiences I have, or turmoils or successes or anything that happens, as things that either I have brought about myself by taking a chance and doing this in a certain way, and using my own abilities in this certain way, and somehow lucking out and achieving something, or as just being the subject of an unfortunate case. And so when I see my life through this certain worldview of something that can be gambled, then I see it as something that is subject and dependent on the whims and feelings of others, as something that gives me no sense of security, in which I become dependent myself on everyone else and everything around me, and in which I feel sometimes a sense of control, sometimes that sense of control is embedded or given to the hands of others, and basically everything is a little bit chaotic, in that while I may temporarily be happy, it's always subject, it's like the foundation of whatever is going on is built on sand. I can never guarantee it. I can never feel completely happy or secure in it, because I don't know what's going to happen next. So again, just repeating it, I guess for me to even change my certain worldview or open myself to, again, this type of transformation, whether I can do that willingly or not, is one, fundamentally seeing whether I recognize the basic worth of what is given to me, which is my existence, and two, whether how I let the experiences I undergo, how I understand them to be shaped, what I understand them to be shaped by, because that also then affects how I act myself. So that's kind of just very rough brainstorming, but Those are two key notions that I got out of the discussion so far.
Oh, Jazakallah khair. So you are saying we can also take our life as gambling if we assume all the arbitrary occurrence of the things. Everything happens by chance, or everything happens by in the hands of others, like my boss, my wife, my brother, my sister, my mother. And my life becomes a gambling. My life is wasted. The way I see the life it becomes a gambling. It's not a manifestation of mercy in front of me, but manifestation of doubt.
If it's based on whatever I'm doing or whatever I'm interpreting, contemplating, if it's based on the here and now, this very reality I'm experiencing right now, then it's not gambling. Everything else can be what if this, what if that, and if then all bets are off. We can never be sure. We can never convince ourselves. But it has to be based on here and now. Then it's not gambling because it's based on reality. This reality, not past or future. This moment.
There's a comment from Emin, as encrypted as usual. He says, I think Porter's reminder is the tipping point. Nursi truly realizes man's transient nature, in parentheses, aha moment. He, of course, he says, knew he wasn't permanent in this world. But knowing something is different from experiencing it. So I guess he's saying he, for the first time, maybe experienced the transience of his life or himself. Is that what you mean? I mean, would you like to?
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit?
Exactly. All these references to amusements, gambling, enjoyment, I consider all of them in the same bucket, indicating a state of heedlessness or not realizing your true nature. And in this journey, the author in the story or journey, still trying to pick the flowers, and by doing so, he's obviously hurts, and he's getting hurt by attempting to reach the flowers. What this means is, obviously, everyone already pointed out the important aspects of this behavior. It's a waste of time, and etc., etc. But as soon as someone approaches him and reminds him his position in this world, it gives him this, obviously the whole background, the context is important. Just this Porter's quote unquote statement may or may not cause anyone to be in distress or experience aha moment. Everyone's journey and the background is also crucial in reaching that tipping point. That's why I call it tipping point, in order to appreciate the background until that point. And once I realized, now back to me, that's the whole point of reading this section or studying it. Once I realize my nature in this world, or what I'm doing in this world, what's really going on, and I see when I start, when I start making all those graveyards or the transient nature of this world relevant to me personally, then that would be my aha moment, and that would be my way out of gambling or other, amusement, or what was the other thing, the enjoyment. So in this life. Because why would I gamble? Why would I seek enjoyment? I would only seek enjoyment for the sake of enjoyment when I feel that I am permanent in this life. And feeling and knowing is different. Everyone in this world knows that they are going to die. But if you look at our lives, none of us, or not me personally, making decisions as if I am, or I should say, making decisions in the state at which I feel confident, I feel convinced that, I think that's the underlying word, convinced that tomorrow is not guaranteed for me, or the next minute. So in that state of being, that I fully realize that I'm a transient being and I'm a dependent being, that would be my transformation, or that would be the point at which I would start feeling something I've never felt before. And I would call myself new Amin after that point. I guess I want to emphasize the difference between experiencing something and just merely knowing it. Old Said knew very well what death meant. He read probably hundreds of books about death and life and the creation, etc. But we are wired or created in such a way that all of us have a different threshold or different tipping point. And in order to reach that point, like Ashiner was asking earlier, about half an hour ago, we just got to continue on our journey and try our best to pay attention to the the porters that may have been around us. That could be in the form of a message, in the form of a person, or in the form of a certain experience. It doesn't matter. But it's just a whole different thing to experience death or / man's true nature, and knowing that I'm going to die. Just because I tell you, right now I can tell you I'm going to die, but this statement is kind of dry statement if I'm not really experiencing it. It doesn't mean anything. That's not going to cause me to transform my life. So that's why I guess focusing on the journey and paying attention to what's really going on around me is important to reach that tipping point. I don't know when that tipping point will be, but it doesn't matter, because I just need to focus on my journey and see what's really going on and try to be aware of my decisions and my experiences. And I think it all starts with awareness.
Amusement. I don't think amusement is bad in and of itself. I think what the author refers to as amusement in the text is the kind that doesn't leave anything behind. In other words, you spend time on it, you get amused, but then you don't see the outcome. It doesn't get you ahead, as some said. And so, like they always say, we shouldn't live like animals because we are humans. So that's clear. Anything that is any kind of amusement at the animalistic or living level doesn't leave anything behind. So that becomes illicit. It says illicit somewhere. Maybe illicit pleasure. So that pleasure is illicit. Why? Because I know that I am more than my abilities are more than those of an animal. I am given more. So if I extend my abilities on something lower than my level, I know that I'm losing. It's not a good trade. So no matter how much pleasure I seem to be receiving from that, it's illicit. It's going to leave a sense of guilt behind, and I can't say that's good for me. Similarly, what I do right now as the right thing may become illicit for me tomorrow, because tomorrow I may have a different view of my abilities. If tomorrow I realize that I am given many more abilities and capabilities that can take me a lot further compared to yesterday, right? Then yesterday's affairs become illicit to me, because now I will view those affairs, those things, as not worth pursuing, given my new understanding of myself, right? So one can go through these successive transformations in life in accordance with successive reinterpretations of oneself. You see what I'm saying? The author says a person is given unlimited qualities, abilities, right? Well, how well do we understand this? It's easy to say, oh, I've been given unlimited abilities. It's another thing to understand what that means. To me, what it means is there will be successive reinterpretations of who I am, and reinterpretations of the value of everything that was given to me. Every time I come to realize how much more what's given to me is worth compared to yesterday, then I will reevaluate what I should be doing now in light of this new understanding. And what I deemed to be appropriate to do yesterday will no longer cut it.
So can we say that the transformation is continuous? Like as you were saying, whatever was fine yesterday probably won't be enough for today.
Right. So there's the hadith, if you remember, the person whose 2 days are equal of us is not of us,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it has to be. I mean, you can't have a transformation every day, but you need to seek what's next. I mean, okay, I've learned what I learned so far is good, but you will always have that feeling of, what am I missing in what I've learned so far? What is the next level that I should reach?
There's a verse that says human being has been created between fear and hope.
Between?
Fear and hope.
You and
So I think that's what comes to my mind with the transformation. I think of either I'm in a state where I feel something is wonderful, with it is the fear I'm going to lose it.
Right.
Or I'm in a place where I think it is terrible. It means, how can I say it's terrible? It means I have hope for something better. Human being can only be in these two, either in hope or fear. So it goes on this way.
Right. The moment you say, I've attained it, this is it.
Then the fear of loss.
You're losing because you should, because the perfect fruit of the universe, of the maker of which is absolute, can have no limit in terms of how much to advance. So we should always have that fear of, okay, what am I missing now? What could I be missing?
And that would be a lie to myself, or contradiction anyways, because I can experience quite broadly and explicitly that there's no end to human experience or human growth in any area, in all areas. So, and I don't think we need to really discuss this in detail. It's obvious. You could talk about health, technology, or knowledge, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, or different feelings, different psychological developments. Doesn't matter. In every area, there's no limit. So that's, I think, another indication that there's no point in life I could say I'm done, or like brother Zafar said, I've attained. That would be just cheating, because that statement is, or that claim is actually a very clear contradiction with what I really experience in this life.
So I want to also think about like our personal gold coins, like what kind of gold coins I've been trying to use, what kind of things I've been trying to buy. Like one thing for example, I feel like I have a gold coin with which I want to buy the love and appreciation of everyone in the world. Everyone likes me, approves me, appreciates me. I want to somehow I could buy this. Everyone would say, you are great. Somehow I could buy, as if I have this gold coin. But when I try to buy it, use it in this world, so my hands, like he says, are left bloodied. You know, I can't make people love me. I want it so bad, but I can't do it. I can't make the world know about me. Billions of people, nobody knows me. I can't make people know me in a way that they really appreciate me. If they have an opinion of me, I can't change it however much I want. So I'm trying to buy this in this world, but I don't really, like, even if I were to buy it, even if everyone said, okay, you are great, I have no sense that even if I purchase the appreciation of everyone in this world with this coin, I would die and they would die, and it would come to nothing. And so instead of saying, I want to use this gold coin that I have, with which, as if on the coin it says, this coin can purchase universal love. With this coin, you can get absolute love. And I go into the world and try to get it, and wasting it on getting not universal love, partial conditional love. Even my parents have a limit. Even my wife and child has a limit. And I say, I wasted my coin. I'm wasting my coin. So I feel like the whole thing here is, at the beginning, he didn't really worry about, like, this is the journey, I'm going somewhere, I need to gather something that I will need, that will serve me beyond the grave. So his vision was limited to the grave until he saw the grave and said, no, I want something that I can purchase that is beyond the grave. So I think partly because I think I realized these gold coins, because what I want to get with them is so absolute, and partly I realize that I'm wasting them here, because whatever I do, they don't buy me what the coin says it should. The coin doesn't, do it. There's a coin that I have that says, with this coin you can know everything, and you can be perfectly wise about everything. With this coin, perfect wisdom is possible. But with this coin, I try to read things and try to be wise and get wisdom, but it doesn't get what the coin says I should.
And it leaves you blank.
Yeah, leaves me disappointed, bloodied. And what it's saying is interesting. It's saying that you actually can, in this world, the porter can give you what you want. You don't have to wait till you die. You just have to take it from the porter. You have to, he can give you in a way that wouldn't hurt. So the point is not to take or not to take. The point is, are you going to try to take it in a way that will hurt and you lose it, which is the illicit, which makes it illicit, I think it's also interesting and worth highlighting that I feel Nursi is very optimistic in saying that human being can judge what is right and wrong based on their feeling of what is painful and what is joyful. I think this is very optimistic. I think most of us are so suspicious and skeptical of our human capacity of joy and human sadness. We take it, we automatically just attribute it to the ego. We identify ourselves with the ego and we say, when I'm happy, it's my ego that is happy. When I'm sad, it must be because the ego wants something, that's why I'm sad. So if we make that choice, yes, ego is there, but if we say, in reality, I am my ego, and God is actually trying to say something that is very alien to me, far from me, rather than what Nursi is trying to say, no, your real joy is the sign that this is the right one. And your heart's sadness is the only thing in your hand that you're using the coin in the wrong way. There is no other thing in my hand. So if I ignore this idea that I can be aware of myself and I can be aware of what is truly joyful and what is truly hurtful, if I say I can't know this, then I lose the basis for making the decision of how I should spend my coin. So I think that's very important because in our modern culture, like anthropology, feelings are mere feelings. Wishes are mere wishes. This is extremely dangerous. We use the phrase wishful thinking, and I keep telling people, absolutely, everything I do is wishful thinking, including religion, belief in God, everything. Because wish is everything. It's sacred. My wish is how I'm created. Don't tell me wishful thinking. What is your idea of wish? Where did you get your idea of the human capacity? How do you interpret it? So, like this idea of joy and happiness and sadness, I feel people say it, but they don't believe it, that I can actually go by, use it as a sign that I can see what I'm doing right and wrong. People say, no. We don't trust that we have been given the ability to really see what is good for us and what is not good for us. And I think it's a running away from our responsibility to say, no, we can't know what is really good for us. As so far as our responsibility, the heart tells. This is what makes the heart really gives joy. That's the right one. It gives pain. It's not the right one.
Can you say that it takes 45 years to say such a thing? Because, in this example, he was in this hostel for 10 years. So the story has two stages. The first part of the story is this man was in this hostel for 10 years, and he was kind of not feeling what's going on because of what he was experiencing. Gambling and fame numbed his feelings. This is why after 10 years, he realized that nothing was in his hands. For those 10 years, maybe he was okay with what was going on. And after this 10 years, somebody said that you should change your path, but he didn't listen to him. Then he realized the train scene, in which now the separation started harming him. He's not talking about separation harming him before.
Right.
And I'm experiencing this in my life as well. In my young days, I never experienced the pain of separation as much as I'm feeling it now. And most likely 10 years down the road, I'm going to feel it much more. So then the question is, when and how I'm going to realize my feelings and which feelings? Because apparently it's changing over the course of time. Certainly it's going to be a compass for me, but its value is also changing, I guess, throughout the way. Because in the early days of life, you're not paying that much attention to, I would say maybe the ego part speaks more than the heart part, that, as far as I understand from what you were saying.
I would say it depends on the experience. So separation from something I experience now more. But even at 16, there was a different kind of separation that I really felt acutely. right? Separation from the cool group in the college. It was very painful. Separation from something that I wanted, don't get it. So there's different kinds of, but you're absolutely, but in the end, surely there are two things. Either I'm interpreting myself without the guidance of revelation, or I come to the point where I try to say, no, this is pointing to something beyond. When I take this idea into account that I'm going to see this as a sign, after this point, I should be very careful not to disregard and go back to a framework where I'm saying, I'm feeling this, but how do I know? I keep saying, I feel very sad. And then simultaneously keep saying, I don't know what to do. Look at this, what's happening there? It means I take no message from my feeling of sadness. It is just my feeling. And I want to know what is the right thing to do. What should I do? I can never find it. Because it's there, but I don't see it. Because I dismiss it. I don't see the message there. But if I really mean it, that everything is a sign, which is the fundamental revelation perspective, that it is not just there, it is telling you, then I should be, as far as joy and these feelings are concerned, I should take them as Rumi say messengers or creatures or something, but that's what they are. If I then start to speak about, talk trash about feelings and things, it means without realizing I am not in the perspective or paradigm of a revelation's view of reality anymore.
So I can understand the feelings being signs and messages, but I guess to find the right thing to do, you still need the porter's recommendation, don't you? Like he sees that his hand is blood, but he didn't know by giving $5, probably he's referring to 5 daily prayers, just by giving the $5, he would gain whatever he was asking for. He didn't know that through the blood he saw or the pain he saw.
The trust, yeah, I mean, kind of knew, but yeah, didn't in the end really realize that. How will I come to trust? Yeah, after the disappointment, yes.
So disappointment and pain, or let's say, or even the happiness, as you were saying, or your wishes, I think they prepare you to the revelation, to make you open to receive the message, or receive the revelation, or to be open to the revelation transforming you. But I'm just trying to understand, like, can we say that just by following just by following the messages you receive in terms of pain, happiness, and so on, you can find the right thing to do?
So, yes, you can. Because why? When we say messages of the feeling, what is it? What message am I going to get from the feeling? So, I feel it is, for example, in my personal experience, a feeling of sadness. I can get lots of messages from it. So when you say that it's a messenger is not much. I'm feeling sad because Isa did something. It tells me that I wanted this for Isa. That's a message. But that's not the message I mean by message. The message must be a messenger of the Creator.
Okay.
So that in this event, I should be able to find an absolute meaning, a meaning that satisfies the heart. I can get all kinds of messages without revelation, but I cannot find a message that says, for example, my love of life is a message to me. For example, one message is that I love life, I should try to live as long as possible. I got the message from my feeling that I want to live, so eat healthy and do exercise. And I got the message, my feeling tells me I love life, I should try to live. When I try this, when I listen to this message, I start to get the feeling, starts to say, you wasted me. I'm not satisfied. I said, so I say, oh, this is not you were telling me? So who's going to translate, interpret what this feeling is telling me? So I have to come to the point, and this is exactly where to me, this is the reason why I come to Revelation, otherwise I wouldn't care. I say, I try to make sense of the message of my feeling, for example, but what I got from it leaves me unhappy, makes my heart bleed. So makes me a bad feeling. So clearly I didn't understand the message of the feeling. What was it trying to tell me? So I need revelation to come and tell me, this feeling of yours is glorifying me, for example. When you want life, you want me, eternal life. So use your feeling to want life as you try to eat healthy, as you remember that this is given to you to recognize me as the living one who prefers for you eternal life. Okay, now, even though I'm eating healthy and still dying, right? Eating healthy won't save me from dying or deteriorating the body. I said, no, it's worth for me to use the feeling of wanting life because it now gives me a message of God. That's why I prefer messenger of God than the messages of, or the whispers, the opposite of it, to go in the thing. So, yeah, but I think your question, yeah, it is the feelings, but they must be messengers of God.
And the guidance of revelation.
Yes.
Okay. We have 2 minutes to conclude. 1 minute. So it's your turn, Brother Zafar.
Once I have a new appreciation of the qualities given to me, right? It's just a matter of not contradicting myself. This is similar to what Faz is saying. The whole idea is understanding who I am and the wisdom in my own making. Why all these things are given to me, and as I advance in this understanding, I should be careful to not contradict any of the new level of understanding. Only then can I say that I have a wisdom. So if my understanding is level 10, I have to be true to that level.
Any other comments? Some questions maybe for next week from our online participants?
I have one quick comment. So I find it interesting that at the end where he sees his grave and then he wakes up and his porter comes to him and says, have you come to your senses? And he says, yes, but it's too late. And the porter replies, he says, repent and place your trust in God. He doesn't say repent and go use your time more wisely, or repent and worship more, or repent and get smarter and stop being such a, loser or something. He says, place your trust in God. I guess, in the beginning when you're gambling, or later on when he's reaching out for the fruits by himself, I guess like at the root of it, the problem is that you're not placing your trust in God. And like how placing your trust in God is like the answer there. It's like the solution that the porter is giving. And I just wanted to emphasize that.
Jazakallah, that was a great point. Unfortunately, we have to finish now. Inshallah, see you all next week.
وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.